So welcome back to the next video. Now this one is focused on the car behind us, Mk2 Golf, my lovely toy. So we're finding more power, or trying to see what we can do. Now I'm set in my ways, not really, maybe, who knows, but I want to see what K-Jet can do, what its maximum potential is. Now we have got ignition time, and that's the best you're going to get. I can't change anything on that from the factory system. I can do different ECUs and that sort of stuff, but I'm not doing that. I'm staying with factory and pushing the K-Jet and air intake to its limits to really see what is potentially there. Now we've got 188 brake horsepower at the moment. That's a lot for a 1.9 16 valve, head ported, built properly, set up properly. It flies along. But can more be had? I reckon so. We're going to find out. What we're going to do is focus on air intake. So air intake first. And then, because we can add as much fuel as we want, we can stick loads of fuel in there. The fuel injectors on these engines, the K-Jets, they can put out more fuel than any engine can take. They are not an injector, they are a hose pipe. And what limits that, coming out that, is pressure and metering head, which I'm sort of fiddling with at the moment to see what differences we can have relevant to pressure. But first, let's get this car undressed and we can have a look what we're looking at. So here is our beautiful engine bay. I haven't seen it for a while and it looks lovely. So the engine's built. We are going to focus on not spark, because that is the best you're going to get. I can add more ignition advance, which we're going to prove, but we need to sort out air and fuel first before we can then start pushing the timing more. What we'll focus on is a 4,000 RPM onward point where the fuel is starting to go rich. Now we don't want it rich. We want it a bit leaner than that, about 13.3, 13.1 AFRs. That's what we're aiming for, which just sort of works out best with these engines. Every engine is different. This is what we're aiming for. Now, these are normally known for running rich top end. Now, with the fueling on these, you cannot give more fuel lower RPM and less at the top, or more at the top and lower RPM. Whatever you do to it, it shifts the whole fuel input from low RPM to high. So what we've got is lower end, we're fine. Top end, we're running a bit rich, but we don't want to. Now, what's causing that? Well, we haven't got air going in to mix with the fuel to get it to where we want it. So what we need to do first is get the AFR gauge on this. Now, AFR is air-fuel ratio. That's the ratio of air and fuel mixture in the cylinder. Makes it go bang, cylinder down, boom, off we go. So we're going to get that out, do some good watt runs. Now, watt is wide open throttle. So that's that, wide open, loads of air going in, a couple of runs like you would do on a rolling road, but in real life on the actual road, to see what we're at and what the AFRs are doing. Then we will tackle the metering head, not the fuel, the actual air pass. Now, a lot of people might be looking at, well, you can change the throttle body. The 16 valve throttle body, which is the same as the 8 valve, I'm pretty sure, that is the same part, because some people say you can put the Audi 2.2 Quattro on it. You can, it'll fit, but it's exactly the same size. So that throttle body, which is the stock 16 valve one, is the same size as the Audi 2.2 Quattro 5-cylinder. So if that throttle body can pass enough air through it to fill up another whole cylinder and produce the power the Quattros can, that's fine. There's nothing to do with that. So what we need to do is look downwards, because engine cylinder head wise, a good engine cylinder head will flow enough air for 200 horsepower easily with a few subtle porting things, which that head's done. So the head's fine. The inlet manifold, we can't do anything with that. We've port matched it. Whatever gets down there gets down there. That throttle body is huge. Not huge, well, it's big, but you're not going to get anything bigger to go on there, apart from single, but we're keeping OEM, remember. So that's fine. So then we need to focus on our air inlet. Sat there, the air isn't drawn vertically. The air is drawn in the airbox and into the intake. So the only air path we need to be focusing on is the one that runs under that air flap. So all the air that comes up under there and into the trunking, that's what we want to focus on. So this is a Porsche one, as a reason to that, and I'll tell you shortly. But first, let's get the car done, get the AFR gauge in it, get a couple of runs down, and then we can sit down and we go, right, this is what our AFRs are. We can then swap this over. I'll show you the differences actually before I take the car out. Then we can put this on, take the car out again. Again, all we've done is changing air, not changing anything else. And then we'll see what the difference the AFRs are doing. And if we're happy with them, perfect. If we're not, then we can adjust the fuel in to suit. So as we can see, this is a double shot of what we've got. Top is new and the bottom is the old. As you can see, there's a large increase in the upper limit. And this is another one. Bottom is new and top is old. As you can see, the bottom, we've got a large gap now underneath the air flap, throwing air into the engine. Now this is a 16 valve one, fully open, set at the same point, 19 mil plus 1 or 2 mil. And again, this is a Porsche and exactly the same measurement on the stop. As you can see, we've got a larger gap letting air into the engine. There is some more double shot of both fully open. As you can see, we've got a large increase of air, which is what we're looking for. Now the plates are exactly the same size, 80 mil. Here's dimensions, so pause the video if you want. Have a look. We've got the main increase is 5 mil reduction in height, which means that flap raises above the main body. So we've been out for a drive, we've seen the AFRs. Now the AFRs weren't actually as rich as they were on the rolling road. That can be loads of different reasons why. It could have been a sensor of the rolling road, could have been the system used. I'm using the innovative LC1, I've got a brand new Bosch LSU sensor on it. So that's what we're getting, fine, no problems. Doesn't mean I'm not going to put the Porsche metering flap on. Now, there is a few differences. Yes, we're getting more airflow on that side of it, but also if you bolt your 60 valve metering head straight onto it, you turn the ignition on, you're going to have injectors spraying fuel. And this is 2 reasons. Firstly, the fuel pin in the 16 valve metering head needs to be changed. Easy for me because I've got 7 different metering, no, I've got a lot of metering heads. But literally the end of the pin, I'll do a picture, is 3-4 mil shorter, and also the arm inside the air flap is different. So obviously it's from a Porsche, it's not really a direct bolt on. Well, it is a direct bolt on, but what you need to do is replace the whole arm that sits inside of the bit that moves, take that out the 16 valve, put that inside the Porsche, make sure it's all nice and easy, free to move and level in its casing. That's the easy bit. And then the fuel pin needs to be changed, or you could, to be honest, put 3 little 2 mil spacer or washers under your metering head, which will lift your metering head up enough to do what it needs to do. Or you could just adjust the air flap away from it, set it that way, but then that doesn't give you the nice window either way to set your CO2 at idle. So we're all on there, tighten it up nicely. So what we'll do, we'll now check the CO2 because we want to get that right at idle. Once that's done and we're happy with it, we'll ping out on the road and see what it performs like. So remember, when doing CO2, disconnect the red lead off the coil, take your breather off the airbox and block it so we've got a nice clean air going in the engine. So is it worthwhile? Now the car is about the same airflow ratios as it was previously, but obviously got more air going in, and we've tweaked the CO2, reset that so we've got more the right fuel going in. It sounds awesome and it feels right top end, just that little bit more. So bum dyno looking good. What we need to now is try and get that AFRs down a bit more. We're a bit sort of a point too far, so let's see what we can do with that. So was that worth it? Definitely. So it wasn't a straightforward fit as I thought it would be, but we've got our increase in air. Obviously, like I said previously, got to change the arm around, but if we want to get these final little bits and bobs, you want to put a bit of the work in. So that's all on there. It's running fantastic. The induction noise is just that little bit more deeper. You can hear more air going in. Fueling, we're about the same, about 13.7. It's quite hard to see it on the gauge versus a rolling road. You've got a lot of sophistication difference. This is ballpark. A rolling road is probably bob on. What we have done is adjusted on the last run the CO2 mixture. Now, to get more fuel, the CO2 arm, where you adjust it, if you adjust the arm to put more fuel in, you're moving the arm up a bit, exaggerate obviously. If you're moving the arm up on idle, max fuel, when that air flaps up, guess what, that bit there which pushes the fuel pin is higher up. So adjusted that, so it's about 2.5%. 3.9 is the limit, MOT limit, so about 2.5 now, slightly more than you want, but we're chasing that max fuel in. And that's brought our AFRs down to 13.4 was the lowest I saw on the gauge. So I'm happy with that. I'm not going to try and chase any more until I get it back on the rolling road. But yeah, massively happy with that. Any questions, stick them in the comments, and see you in the next one.